Hi, so today we are going to try to understand covalent bond. So let's get right at it. So what is a covalent bond? A bond formed by sharing of electrons. Now, why do we need to share electrons? Because simply we do not have always the energy to transfer the electron. For formation of an ionic bond, you need to transfer, and the transfer of electrons takes a lot of energy, right? We do not have that kind of energy, but we understand that nevertheless, despite, we need the octet rule to be suffice, which says that molecules tend to have 8 electrons in their valence shell, right? So they need to the atoms need to acquire the nearest noble gas configuration, right? So let us examine that for hydrogen. By the way, hydrogen needs only 2. Sometimes this is summarized as the duplet rule, but nowadays we don't use that word and we simply say hydrogen needs just 2. So hydrogen, writing the Lewis formula, has just 1 electrons, right? Now if somehow hydrogen could have this one and this hydrogen could have that one electron, and if they could share this electron, there could be a bond formed between them. Now I want you to understand how this happens. Now every nucleus has a pull for their own electrons, right? So let us say we are assuming about this one here and this one right here. So every nucleus will have a pull for their own electron. But still there's an energy, right, to maintain that whole apparatus. Now if you are moving the two atoms close to each other, there would be another attraction of this electron by that nucleus and this electron by that nucleus. So blue represents the force of attraction here, but there would be a repulsion between the nuclei because both of them are positively charged, and there would be a repulsion between electrons because both of them are negatively charged, right? But there will come one perfect distance where the forces, I can say, forces are a lot balanced. And by balanced, what do I mean? That they are in the state of minimum energy, right? It is this state of minimum energy that we call as a bond. So what is a bond? It's basically a force of minimum energy between two atoms. Now how do we represent that? We can represent them via this. Now it's not necessary that there can be only one bond form. Now let us take an example of oxygen, O2. Oxygen is a molecule, right, of 2 oxygen atoms, and the atomic number of your oxygen is 8. So how do you draw? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, sorry, 2p4, right? So if you see, the valence electrons are 6, so how do I show them? So well, you can simply show them like this, right? Now let us draw another oxygen here. Very simply, we have our 6 electrons. Now if somehow this oxygen can have those electrons and that one has these, they are perfectly having 8 each, right? So this kind of satisfies the octet rule, and we can represent them by simple 2 lines. Now this is an example of a double bond, a double covalent bond. Now can there be more than them? Yes, and we know which molecule has the capacity, that is carbon. 1s2, it has atomic number 6, so 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. So 4 valence electrons, right? So I'll write carbon Now let's just represent them on 4 different sides, and let us bring one hydrogen. So hydrogen will have one electron, hydrogen will have one electron, 1 and 1. So hydrogen would want to have 2 electrons, duplet rule, right? And we can clearly say that carbon wants all 4 to fulfill its octet. So this molecule can be finally represented as C, 4 dashes, each representing one bond being made up of 2 electrons. So CH4, that is your methane, which is in use as a fuel as well. I hope this makes sense. Now, coordinate covalent bonds, it's another way where the chemistry gets really interesting. When one atom donates both electrons, till now we were seeing both carbon and hydrogen donated each electron, one electron each in the relationship, right? But here, something different happens. So, NH3, right, it has one lone pair of electrons. 3 are being used by hydrogen, but 2 are free. And we have hydrogen ion H plus. So hydrogen doesn't have any electrons at all, whereas NH3 have 2 lone pair of electrons. So NH3 can donate both of these electrons into the bond formation. So you can have H plus bond NH3, which is represented as NH4 plus ion. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. So today we talked about the various types, covalent bonds. Now, one more thing that we are going to talk about at the end is types of covalent bond. Now, what are the types of covalent bond? So, very essentially, there are 2, polar and non-polar. What does that mean? The word itself tells you a lot. So let's talk about oxygen. Now, to understand that, we'll talk briefly about a term called electronegativity. What is electronegativity? It is the capacity to pull the electron cloud, right? Now, oxygen and oxygen enter into a double bond, we know, but both are equally electronegative, right? So the electron cloud stays in center, right? And hence the bond is non-polar, right? But if you talk about something else, for example, hydrogen and chlorine. Now chlorine and hydrogen, so chlorine has 7. If you remember, 17 is that the number of electrons. So they will enter into a bond, obviously, but the electron cloud would be pulled towards chlorine more. Why? Because chlorine is more electronegative. And hence this kind of molecules will have a partial negative charge and a partial positive charge. Now what this does is it can sometimes influence how these compounds react or behave with other compounds. Now we know the easiest example that you can discuss about that is water. You know, hydrogen is a more electronegative atom, right? And because it is more electronegative, it will try to attract the electron cloud towards itself and hence develops a partial negative, and hydrogen develops a partial positive charge. And this is one of the reasons why water is a universal solvent, because it interacts via these charges with many things that it dissolves, right? So in today's class, in this series, we talked about covalent bonds, we talked about the coordinate covalent bond, and we also talked about the types of covalent bond. I hope this helped you understand the topic.
Now that you watched this video, you're one step closer to achieving your academic goals. Well done! There's always more to learn, so check out our other videos and don't forget to subscribe.